Sharpen your weapon, visit the cantina, and ready your palico. It's time for the Monster Hunter World Review. Monster Hunter World is set up to carry on the tradition of hunting giant monsters first established in 2002 by Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 2. Since that first title, the game has seen several changes and evolutions, but none more than Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World takes the tried and true formula of hunt, loot, and craft, and streamlines the entire process with many quality of life changes. From large open maps that no longer require you to load from zone to zone, to simple things like not having to farm or buy countless whetstones to keep your weapon sharp. Graphically, Monster Hunter World is a masterpiece. Each hunting zone has a diverse and rich palette of colors that set the tone and theme for each zone. From a thick Amazonian-like rainforest to a dying land with choking fumes, each map has its own character and monsters to match. You can tell immediately that each monster was painstakingly designed to invoke a sense of awe and wonder, from the Great Jagras all the way to the fearsome Nergigante. The real glamour of Monster Hunter World comes from its take on a simple formula: hunt, loot, and craft. Let me break down the 3 stages, starting with the example of a typical hunt. But before our hunt, we must prepare, as preparation is oftentimes key to whether a hunt goes well or not. Once you are ready, you are whisked away to a forward base camp located in the hunting grounds of your prey. The map consists of several zones which you now have to hunt through and find traces of your quarry before finally confronting the monster. Along the way you can gather herbs, ore, insects, and other crafting materials to be used later when crafting. Eventually, after scouting tracks and signs of the monster, your scout flies will lead you to the beast's location. Now that you've tracked the monster, it's time to take it down. These battles are easily the best part of Monster Hunter World and really drive the whole game. Oftentimes the fights are chaotic, especially when you stumble across other monsters during the fight and have to deal with multiple sets of things trying to take a bite out of you. Of course, that chaos can work in your favor and let you get in a few extra hits while the monster you're hunting is distracted and taking damage from another monster in a turf war. Once you bring down the fearsome beast, you can begin the loot portion of Monster Hunter. Albeit a brief moment, it is so very important to the game's formula. You skin the monster, taking hide, bone, and claw, and are transported back to your headquarters. Now with the items that you found during the hunt and the materials from the monster, you can craft new armor, weapons, and tools. So we definitely said that hunts are the most exciting, however, the argument could be made that the moment you get back from a hunt is just as exciting. Like a kid on Christmas morning, you run to the blacksmith to see what new gear and weapons you can make using your newly acquired monster parts. Most of the time, you don't have enough materials to craft the gear right away. You have to hunt and capture the monster a few more times, thus completing the cycle of Monster Hunter. It sounds pretty simple, right? Almost boring, really. But if you're anything like us and find yourself up at 4 AM and you need to hunt just one more Rathian in order to make that sweet armor you've had your eye on. And that's how it gets you hooked. The whole game is one massive grind, but it's presented in a way that feels fulfilling every time you reach a new goal. Of course, when you reach that new goal, you're immediately challenged to reach further and become an even greater Monster Hunter. Speaking of gear, there's a lot, like a whole lot. Every monster in the game has its own set made from materials it drops. Some sets are even made up of materials from multiple monsters. Each piece of gear has your usual defensive stat, but they also come with armor skills. These armor skills provide you with all manners of buffs, from simple stat boosts to more complicated utility skills, like increasing to material gathering, for example. Skills have multiple levels, so the more pieces of gear you have equipped with that skill makes the skill itself stronger. With 128 different armor skills, by our count so far, there are many possible builds and armor combinations to experiment with. That isn't even taking into account that many of the higher level gear sets provide unique bonuses when you equip multiple pieces from the same set. Just when you think you may be getting to the end of the gear list, they throw you into the deep end with higher level armor of all the old monsters you've hunted, and variations on each of those high level armors. We were 40 hours into the game when they gave us the ability to socket decorations into our gear to add new stats. 40 hours into a game when we were still getting tutorials. Decorations allow you to socket gems into your gear that further enhance your armor skills, or customize a piece of armor or weapon with a skill it doesn't normally have. In short, the numbers of ways to build out your character are pretty vast and entirely up to you and your playstyle. There are some that would argue fashion over function, and for those people there's great news. The armor in Monster Hunter World is beautiful. Oftentimes the armor itself mimics different aspects of the armor it's made from and has qualities or skills you would expect from that monster. Every armor set has its own individual design and none of them feel recycled or lazy. Of course, armor is kind of pointless if you don't have a weapon to back it up. Luckily, Monster Hunter World has quite a few choices for you to choose from, 14 different choices to be exact. From dual blades to bows, hammers to guns, and weapons that transform from a shield and sword into a massive great axe. Whatever your fancy, Monster Hunter has got it. And it isn't as simple as picking a single weapon either, because as the game progresses, you unlock the ability to upgrade and enhance your weapons using materials from monsters. So if you've always wanted a giant katana that strikes with literal lightning, you're gonna have a great time. And just like the armor, your weapons can be equipped with decorations as well. To top it all off, you get to do all this hunting and grinding with 3 other friends, which only makes things 10 times better. All of that said, it's a gorgeous game that drives you with its hunt, loot, and craft system, and balances all of that with some pretty strong gameplay that you can enjoy with your friends. That sounds pretty good, but Monster Hunter is not without its blemishes. First and foremost, the story is completely forgettable, and oftentimes mucks up the pacing of the game. We actually feel like the game would be better without a subpar story, and it might even earn a perfect score. The majority of our other complaints are small and kinda petty, like having the item box outside of the tent so you don't have to go through a small animation every time you need an item while you're out in the field. We've really been blown away by Monster Hunter, and frankly, we can't put it down, which is going to be a real problem as there is a ton of content to get through and free DLC and events planned for the future. As far as we can tell, the only blemish to an otherwise shining example of a great game is its tacked on story, and without it, Monster Hunter World could even be a contender for our Game of the Year. Thank you all for watching, and good luck out there on your hunts.